Hi, everybody. Welcome to this 4 o'clock session. We've got Kyle McInnes here from AI Media to give us a little bit of a discussion about sort of what his company does, and also to sort of maybe discuss a little bit about how they've been growing and being successful in this post-COVID world. So take it away.
Awesome. I'm just going to share my screen and make sure that I'm not on mute, which is a standard comment in our COVID world. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for joining in. My name is Kyle Phillips. I'm the General Manager for Sales and Marketing for the Americas region at AI Media. We are a founding member, a very proud founding member of the Canadian Accessibility Network. We're also on the Advisory Council and are very proud to be sponsoring the live captioning for this week's virtual conference. Like many of you, and as the Deputy Minister Yasmin LaRoche mentioned earlier, everybody started to scramble in March, mid-March, suddenly shifting to an online world. And, we saw, quite frankly, a lot of the work that we were doing fall off a cliff in the, literally, or not literally, figuratively, in the middle of March. But then almost just as quick, we had many people realizing that they needed to make their online meeting places and online events accessible, and we're looking at ways and some guidance for how to do so. So I'm going to talk about, just highlight some examples on what we've done. You might have seen some of the captioning within the session. I've pasted into the chat panel a link to the French captioning and the English captioning, and I'll speak to oh, I'm not even there. There we go. I'll speak to how we're generating that as well. So describe a little bit of the process and how we are creating the captions in both languages. Before I do that, maybe I'll speak a little bit about who we are and what we do. AI Media is an organization that is geared to making the world accessible with captions, transcripts, subtitles, described video, other services and products. We stand for Access Innovation, and we're all about making an impact globally, one word at a time. And it's that making content accessible that drives everything that we do as an organization. We have been around since 2003. One of our co-founders was profoundly deaf, and growing up, he had wonderful support at the schools that he attended in Michigan. When he later went on to university at New York University, he found he struggled a little bit in participating in the classroom and interacting with instructors and peers. And he felt at the time that he could have really benefited from having his lectures captioned and have that what was going on in the classroom accessible to him in text form. So that was one of the things that drove him to create a company and create some services that would deliver accessible content to people. And I think other speakers today have highlighted the need for ensuring in this now sudden online world that we're creating safe spaces for everybody, accessible spaces for everybody, and that's what drives us as an organization. We are global. I'm based, I guess it doesn't matter in a lot of cases where each of us are based, but I'm here in our Toronto office. We do have offices in Sydney, Australia, and in London, UK, and we've got teams of people who are working literally around the clock, 24/7, providing either live real-time captions or providing captions and other descriptive work for recorded media. I mention that because the global reach allows us to tap into resources and to create some efficiencies for the work that we're doing with our clients here in Canada and across the world. Some of our clients include Carleton University, which has been using us at their graduation ceremonies for the past couple of years. But many other organizations, universities, colleges here in Canada, organizations like the United Nations and World Economic Forum. We've, in the past month or two, taken on some really interesting projects and exciting projects. And I wanted to share some of those with you to kind of give you some of the ideas, the ways that people are using captioning out in different areas, in different industries to make their meetings and their events and their sessions more accessible. Yeah, just saw a comment that came in that about audio description, because I did mention audio description. And the comment was, I find it interesting and puzzling that some people I talk to don't know what audio description is. I can speak to that for a second. Audio description, or it's sometimes called described video, usually that's the term here in North America, is taking a media and making it accessible for the blind and those with vision challenges. What we do is we have scriptwriters who write a script of the images of a video or a visual piece of art, and then write a description for that. Post-event, I can actually send you some links to different examples of audio description, described video for that use different human voices and synthetic voice. But it's almost, I think all of the, or I know all of the shows that air in prime time here in Canada are mandated by the CRTC to provide audio description as well as closed captions. So thank you for that comment, and hopefully that was an informative aside. Want to talk about the different colleges that we work with and maybe how they work with us. Before I do that, one of the questions, I guess, as a follow-up was, does AI Media provide audio description? We do. We do provide audio description, described video. We have a number of clients here in Canada, including some major broadcasters who do provide caption who provide us with work where we're providing described video. There's another comment that came in, and I'm going to share them because I do like participation and engagement, and I will keep to my time as well. But there was a comment about people with strong accents, actors speaking quickly, oftentimes people using it. Someone mentioned their mother in their 80s using captioning because their hearing is declining. I use captions almost every day. I will use them when I'm watching a video or watching a series or something at night, and I don't want to wake up my 11-year-old. I just find it's interesting. I'm also looking at the quality. So there's different things that we do with that we can do with captions that not only extend the accessibility for people like your 80-year-old mother who need that in order to listen to the content, but also for the for those who just want to watch with captions. And increasingly we're seeing that, and I'll give a few examples of that as well. With university and colleges, one of the big changes, with the online world is where are lectures happening? And in many cases, they're happening here in Zoom or other platforms, because I think for many universities, they're planning on going online or staying online with their lectures for September, and certainly are online right now for their summer semesters. So we're captioning a lot of those classes. These are some of the universities right now in Canada where we're doing captioning either for their lectures, for students who are either deaf or hard of hearing, or even just students who can benefit from captions because of different processing challenges they may have, different accessibility needs that they may have. We provide live captioning both in English and in French, by which I mean spoken English lectures, spoken French lectures. We have captioners who can caption both languages. And we do that for quite a few classes, including this year at the University of Ottawa. We had a number of students who classes that we captioned in French. There's another comment here. Is it possible to determine the size of the captions, especially in live videos? By determine, I'm guessing you mean to change the size or to customize the size of the captions? Yes, change the size. Okay. Yeah, I mean, in live videos, I mean, it depends on the platform you're using. So if you're following along within Zoom, you will see the captions appear in there are settings in Zoom that you can change the size of the font from small, medium to large, and those are some settings there within our Caption browser window, which I shared a link to, and which I'll put on the screen here. There are settings that you can change within the window itself, where you can go in and change from medium to large, change the font size and color, text size, even the rate at which captions appear. All of the design of this caption viewer were designed with the World Wide Web, WCAG accessibility standards in mind. Even those who have physical challenges, those can actually, if they're using a tablet following along with captions, they can click and make changes by using a knuckle, using something other than a finger to make changes to the settings here. So there's very specific design of the windows themselves, so that everybody can participate in the talk. Anybody can participate in the lecture. Really glad another comment that came in about the quality of the translation. I'm glad that you mentioned that, and I'll maybe speak a bit about what we're doing here. Yeah, and really good point. The captions that are happening here are being captioned by a human being who is listening in remotely and captioning what I'm saying. Obviously, I'm speaking English, so they're captioning my English and generating captions on the screen. To generate the French, what we are doing is we are taking the English captions and directing them through our machine language translation tool that translates them from English into French. We've had some really positive feedback from different organizations that we're working with here in Canada, at different organizations where we're looking to make their events and their sessions bilingual, as Enable Ottawa has done. So it's nice to be able to provide these captions in both languages for the session. What's nice for those, there was a comment about not being able to read the captions because I don't read fast enough. What's nice then is you can sort of follow along at your own pace when you're using the caption viewer, and go back and look at things that you've missed. So there's lots of different settings here and options that allow you to, again, participate at the speed at which you want to participate. One other question I wanted to answer that speaks to students, so I'll do that while I've got the slides up, was, are students able to access a transcript and print off a hard copy to make notes from when the lecture is over? Yes, they are. In fact, every student has access to a tool that will allow them to access the transcripts for their lectures. So they can quickly go in and access those, access the notes and make notes from them. And that's one of the really, I think, really cool use cases of captions in the classroom, that a student is able to sit in the class, or sit in their home office or at their kitchen table or in their backyard with their laptop and participate fully in the lecture, to be able to see what the professor is doing, follow along with the visuals, and also follow along with the text, but have access to that text afterwards so that they can review notes. And they're not going to miss anything. And we get really, really positive feedback on the students having access to this. So this is a service that universities use us for. They typically, for student lectures, when they know they have students who require accommodations and some support, they'll reach out to us and we'll get them set up with captioning for the student classes. They also, we do quite a number of faculty meetings and trainings. Another nearby college, Algonquin, we work with quite frequently for many events that they have, both for their students and for their faculty on campus. And we do a number of virtual commencements or convocation ceremonies. At Carleton, we've been doing that for a while. Other schools like Ryerson and UBC and Algonquin as well do their convocation ceremonies, have all their convocation ceremonies live captioned, and we've been doing that for them. But we've also now, again, in the virtual world, been receiving a ton of requests from universities who are now planning virtual commencements. And one of those is Ryerson, another one is UBC, who we'll be working with for the first time this month, the end of June. And it's a nice way to make sure that people who are following along with the ceremony have access to what's being said in the ceremony. In addition to, from an accessibility standpoint, from a diversity and inclusion standpoint, having access to the written word allows, those family members at a convocation, those people for whom English or French is not a first language, to be able to read what's being said can really help to validate what they're hearing, and for those people in the audience who do struggle with hearing, it's nice to have that as well. So universities and colleges shifting online, doing meetings, doing their classes online, doing the convocations and other events online. We're doing a lot of it, and we're helping provide accessibility for people who need it through live captioning. We're also doing it for government. We've been starting this January, we started providing live captioning for the Ontario government for, at the time, their maybe once or twice a week press conferences. in English and in French. As of the middle of March, that's become daily press conferences. We've also been doing daily press conferences for the British Columbia government, city of Calgary, and some other jurisdictions across the United States. We've seen some interesting uses of the captions by different governments, not only for meetings, for press conferences. For the first time ever, the US Supreme Court was meeting remotely and heard cases and heard arguments via conference call. We captioned that, and the PBS News World used our caption browser and used our captioning services to make sure that event was accessible. So an example from south of the border, but an example of where people are looking at in government ways to make sure that their citizens and that their people out there are not only getting information, but that they're getting accurate information. And that was one of the reasons why at least one of the Canadian governments we're working with, provincial governments, reached out to us. Was they said we needed to make sure that all of our citizens are not only are getting accurate information, they're able to see it, they're able to read it, and there are many people who, again, for whom English is not a first language. Respecting that diversity and trying to be as inclusive as possible is the goal, and we're able to help them meet that goal in some way with captioning. The other thing that we've seen is just a focus on community engagement. Many of us are sitting at home for longer than we want to be, bored and looking for things other than Netflix or the books we've all read to stimulate us or to entertain us, to challenge us and to keep us sane. And there are a number of organizations now that are holding some fabulous online events, lecture series, author series, talks, film festivals, including the Hot Docs Film Festival was one that, back at the beginning of April had to cancel their physical festival, but went online, decided that they would go online, and are currently showing films online through their site, some fantastic documentaries, and we're providing live captioning for the Q&A for those. We also started working this week with the Toronto Public Library and for an author series that they're doing. And one of the comments that they had, and one of the reasons why they liked bringing in captioning, was that they knew that they could increase the number of community stakeholders who would participate, and people who felt that they could actually participate because they could hear what was being said, they could follow along, and it would help remove that barrier to participating in something like an online event. So that to me was pretty moving. It was reinforcing the work that AI media is doing and why we do what we do, and the idea that more people can now participate in these author series and is just a wonderful feeling. So mention that just because these are some of the ways that I think organizations are looking to do things creatively in an online way, in the way that they're able to do that in an accessible way. And then finally, work meetings. Yasmin LaRoche had mentioned earlier. It was funny, everybody, all of a sudden on Friday, we were at work. On Monday, we were sent home and told to stay home. And now we are, having to work remotely. And I think most people and most organizations, though there have been challenges, have done a really good job adapting. One of the ways that we're helping people ensure that the meetings are still accessible for everybody is through live captioning, not just for meetings, but for also for like annual general meetings, for virtual events that companies are hosting. We've been doing a lot of work in the corporate sector and with just any organization, government organizations, to make sure that the workplace is accessible for people with through captioning. We talked a little bit about how the captions were happening and what we do. We do use a little bit of technology, certainly for the translation to French, but some of the technology, most of our captions are delivered by what we call re-speakers, who are listening to the audio and then re-speaking what they're hearing in real time into software that's trained to their voices. That's then generating the captions that you see again on the screen with a 3 to 5 second delay from the time I say it to when you see it on the screen. Where are we delivering captions right now? Everywhere. If there's a platform online, we deliver it there. The links that you're following along with are simply links that you can pull up in a web page. You can see them on any phone, any tablet or device, laptop. But we also integrate in various ways, in various forms, with platforms like Zoom and streaming destinations like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and LinkedIn, and other places where people are gathering and communicating in the online world. So it's we're out there, we're available, regardless of what you're using. We're available, and we're here to help. And on in terms of other services that we provide, in addition to live captioning and the audio description that I explained a little bit about earlier, we also do closed captioning for recorded work. So anything that's not live, but it's a recorded video where you need a captions or a audio where you need a transcript, we can do that. We do some translation work as well, and note-taking. We do a lot of work for broadcast, which I didn't even touch on. But anything, where people can benefit from having access to the written world, in order to be better able to meaningfully participate, that's what we do. So one of the questions that just came up, do you do ASL? Doesn't help for two-way communications. We do provide, we just, over the last month or so, acquired an organization in the United States that has a version of ASL that they deliver online. We haven't had an ASL option for our clients because we deliver all of our services remotely. But this partner organization we've acquired has the ability to provide ASL online, we will be we're able to offer that now through that relationship that we have. I just want to check to make sure that I'm happy to share your deck for anybody who requests it. I'll put that together and I'll send it to John and to Moira so that they have it. There were other couple of questions I just wanted to get there. One was, can you speak to the difference between AI Media and AMI, Accessible Media Inc.? They're different companies. So I can't speak to what they do, but yeah, we're different organizations. The other question that came up was, where is the Caption viewer located? I'm not sure where he or she is located today. We do have a team of people here in Toronto who provide captions, but we also have a strong network of professionally trained captioners who are located all across the country. And for some of our events that take place later in the evening, and especially those that take place later in the evening on the West Coast, that's where our team in Australia come in and provide captions for the later sessions. So they could be anywhere, and it's really anywhere where people are able to be on the internet and are trained and know how to do this, and are part of our team can assist. But most of our people who deliver for our Canadian clients are here somewhere in Ontario or Quebec or other parts of the country. I'm going to, oh, there was one other, to see the transcription. Sorry, I meant to toggle to see the transcription. I'll just put that up in case people want to see it. I will put up my final slide in just a second because we are at time, and I'm done, and I think I timed it okay. But I just wanted to put up my information. Again, if you have information or you have questions about these services, we are usually able to book in live captioning for you with 24 hours notice. For our French live captioning we do, maybe 48 hours notice because they are in demand. But it's a very flexible and easy thing for us to deliver into an online space. My team has been very busy. You know, as I said, in mid-March, everything stopped, and then almost just as quickly it accelerated. So we've been very busy, but we're very grateful that we're busy. We're grateful that we can be providing a service to people at this time that really helps move the needle on accessibility, that ensures that people can fully participate in an online world, or more fully participate in an online world. And we are here, and you know, email us if you have any questions, if you have any events or meetings that you need support with. If you have more questions about the ASL option, email them to either myself, Kyle.Phillips at ai-media.tv, or to our just north.america at ai-media.tv. We are very active in Facebook, and we have over 3 million followers on our Facebook page who are part of our community. We have many members of the deaf and hard of hearing community who are active in that space. So please feel free to follow us, join us in discussions we're having in those channels as well. With that, and with a couple minutes over, I'll maybe turn it back to John, or see if there are any other questions I can answer for folks before I go.
Yeah, thanks again for that presentation. It was really precise. I can tell that you're well versed in your services. And I sort of wanted to sort of add that I'm sort of glad that you didn't share our conference on your Facebook. Otherwise, I would be paying thousands of dollars a month for my webinar to be able to present to that many people. So there are a few other questions remaining, but I think what I'll do is I'll just share them with you directly, and you can reach out either over socials or over email to get those out to
people. Happy to do it. I know there were questions on costs and things like that. I'm happy to answer those. You know, to people who need them and have questions. I'm happy to talk about how we work and how it costs. You know, there's no hardware that's required. It's really just a service you book with us based on hours and time, and I'm happy to speak to the specifics, and also I'll send the slides over to you, John, so you can share that with people.
Great, and absolutely, and we're also obviously recording the session as well, so this will be available for people to watch if they miss this anyway. So they'll be able to see the slides and pause at any information that they need to as well. So thanks for that. Thanks for taking your time to give us this presentation today, and definitely thank you so much for providing these services to us for this conference. We wouldn't have been able to provide this to the those requiring the accessibility services that we have in such high population, attending this conference over the last 3 days. So
that's wonderful. We're very happy to be a sponsor and to bring these
great.
to you. So that's great. Thank you, Tom.
Great. Thanks again. Okay. Thanks everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And like I said, I'll be sharing this content over our socials and through our mailing list as always. And I'll see everyone tomorrow at 2 o'clock when we kick things off. Thanks again, and bye-bye.